Another day of fully padded practice. Just kidding. We just went one day of full pads yesterday. Back to no pads for today's practice. Are we getting our first sighting of Jakori Merritt running with the 1's in Jaden Daniels? Debo Samuels makes a chunk play or two in just about every practice. And Kane Madano sighting on day 6 of Washington Commanders training camp. And the MVP of camp so far through 6 days is undoubtedly Mikey Sanders still. Let's get into it. 'Twas the 6th day of training camp on Tuesday, July 29th, another blistering hot, humid, nasty, sticky feeling day out in Ashburn. I hope everyone who attended got through the practice very healthy, because I still feel like heat exhaustion symptoms are still running through my body, and it's Tuesday and I went to camp 2 days ago. But what's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, back with the latest and greatest from the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. We are a few days away from Washington heading up to New England for joint practices with the New England Patriots. And through 6 days of camp, we've seen and heard a lot about Washington's defense. They are not making it easy for Jaden Daniels in the offense. Yes, we know Terry McLaurin's not there, and that definitely helps when you're guarding Chris Moore and Noah Brown versus the 1's on a regular basis, even though Noah Brown is going to run with the 1's a lot during the actual season. But everything you've heard in camp so far, there are 2 names attached to everything in the secondary: Mikey Sanders still and Quan Martin. You are about to see an ascension like no other. Me and the group chat were chatting this morning about how Dan Quinn and Joe Witt in years 2 and 3 really started to get that secondary together. And look at how they turned Diggs and Bland and those guys into one of the top units in the league. And it was a pretty bad room when they got there. And that's why I had been preaching patience all year. There were people saying fire Joe Witt Jr. in year 1, where we went to the NFC Championship. The run defense was bad. The passing defense was a little overinflated and wasn't as good as the numbers said, but there was no fireable offenses done by our defensive coordinator last year, and we need to be patient and trust the process. Nobody was fireable in our coaching staff. I believe in the program, the culture, the whole 9, and the things being implemented. They just need more. We're talking about a cornerback room that started the year last year with Benjamin St-Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, and Noah Igbenogany in your starting unit. An NFL game. We opened up week 1 in Tampa in the blistering heat and humidity with Emmanuel Forbes and St-Juste and Igbenogany trying to run the fade with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Oh, yeah, and Mikey Sanders still. I forgot Mikey Sanders still, but he was the only bright spot. But that was such a daunting task. We opened the year with all these receivers on our schedule with these weak-ass corners out there. You know what I love? Noah Igbenogany flashing in camp as a depth rotational piece. Jonathan Jones, a longtime starter in New England with championship pedigree, as a depth piece in the cornerback room and not having to be relied on. Our second rounder, Trey Amos, has looked the part, definitely has a veteran type demeanor to him. Marshawn Lattimore is in shape. He's healthy. He's got his burst back and his confidence seems back. He actually seems like he wants to be to work now. Marshawn always rubbed me as a guy who 9 to 5, you're never going to see him at work at 5:01. He seems like he got his light back this year. But Mikey Sanders still, and safety Quan Martin, who Joe Witt tried to warn us all about, they look like they're going to be the leaders of that secondary. And Mikey is everywhere, man. Being back at home at his position on the inside, they're just going to unleash him. They're going to unleash him. And Quan Martin has been ascending over the last couple of years. The only thing old Ronald Eugene got right in the 2023 draft class, Jartavius Quan Martin. We appreciate and we thank him for that. The big plays are going to come. I don't need this defense to be the Eagles. I don't need them to be the best unit in the league. I need them to try to give our best version of Houston. We need to be a turnover forcing defense. We don't have to be the best defense in the league or top 3 to 5. If we can find ways to get the ball back to the offense, it's going to be a show. It's going to be a show because we have nothing to worry about offensively. We are going to get active offensively. We are going to put points up, and we're going to get to it. But speaking of turning over the ball, our first real legit Kane Madano sighting in back-to-back plays per Ben Standig. He jumped a pass and deflected one to Colson Yankov, and on the next play, intercepted Sam Hartman, who threw the ball right to Kane Madano. It happens sometime. The 6th-rounder has bounced between the 2nd and the 3rd units on today's practice. My boy Pedro also said back-to-back plays from Kane Madano. We love to see that. You're gonna mostly see Kane in a special teams role early on, especially with the ramping up of Jordan McGee in year 2. But I really want to know how they're going to use Kane Madano because body type screams safety, but play style is linebacker. But he definitely moves like a DB. That was the fastest linebacker in the class. But he's very small to be a backer. But, you know, there are a lot of tweener sub-package positions where they could get him in there and where he could be effective. Offensively, it felt like we had a case of the dropsies. I was talking to my boy Pascal of the group chat. Shout out Pascal Todd. Him and his lady were at training camp this morning, and he gave us a quick little rundown of how a couple plays went. And it was kind of nasty. It was kind of nasty, but it's training camp. These are the dog days of summer. It's hot as hell out there. Vets hate it. It happens sometime. He says, all right, bet. This is in like a 5-play stanza. Jaden just threw a dime deep ball to Chris Moore, who they call Simo, drop. Next throw, John Bates, drop. Next play, they tried a crazy throwback screen to Austin Eckler that got blown dead. So the defense messed up that one. And I believe on the Chris Moore play, there was coverage pretty close to him. I believe that was the play. I believe Skylar said that Mikey and Quan were closing in on it, but it was dropped right in Chris Moore's hand. Noah Brown also had a significant drop at some point during team drill. We had the dropsies today. The thing with training camp, whatever I'm reading, whatever I'm seeing, and whatever people are telling me, I'm going to tell y'all we don't need to overreact to any of this shit, especially when it comes to like young players. I don't know why Chris Moore is out here dropping passes. Chris Moore is 32 years old. I know that's a name that you hear a lot in camp, probably more than you need to because Terry is not suited up with the guys right now. But Chris Moore, I don't know if Chris Moore's making the team. He could, though, because we don't know who that 6th receiver is going to be. Jakori Brooks has days where he can't catch a cold, and Michael Gallup and KJ Osborne turn into Casper-friendly ghosts when they get in the team drill. So we don't know who the 6th, if they're going to keep 6 receivers. I imagine in a Cliff Kingsbury spread them out variation of the air raid offense, there's always going to be 6 receivers kept. But the most interesting thing I read about camp today, ready to have me firing up my agenda, shout out to Brian Keith, B-Rob. He looks great. He looks lean. He looks spry in camp. I don't know if this was confirmed by anyone who was actually there, but we're going to say allegedly, Jakori Merritt, the running back you see on screen right now, was getting reps with Jaden Daniels in the 1's in the no-huddle session of practice today. That does not surprise me because I did see Jaden throwing the ball and handing it off to JCM quite a few times in individual when I was at practice the other day. But just look at the guy. We keep looking at simple-ass plays when it comes to him, but look at the way he jump cuts and gets skinny through the hole and then initiates contact with Tyler Owens through the hole, covers the football. These are those things you see out of a dynamic running back. I'm not trying to be that guy, but Brian Robinson would put his helmet in the back of the guard and try to bulldoze his way through there. We didn't really have a guy that could get skinny through a hole like that. We have not had a jump cut present in Ashburn since old man Adrian Peterson was here 9 years ago, or maybe 7 years ago. We haven't had one in here. That exists now. That exists, and 100,000% Jakori Merritt's making the team and going to be the third running back on the roster. But Jakori Merritt's going to get the ball this year. He's going to get carries this year. I'm not really willing to go out on a limb yet and saying he's going to take the starting job, but opportunity will be there for him. And he looks the part, he sounds the part, and he's locked in. And a lot of NFL teams are going to regret letting him fall to the 7th round, because that is not a 7th round running back. He just had some interesting circumstances not being able to play, but it was not due to injury. For a 24-year-old running back, this guy has no tread on the tires, and he will be front and center what I will be paying attention to in preseason games and in these joint practices. I'm going to the preseason finale versus the Ravens, which the third game used to be the dress rehearsal, but now the third game has turned into the roster bubble invitational. All the people trying to make the team, the third game is the showcase for you. I hope JCM is playing in that game, but I have a feeling after preseason game 1 and 2, they might put him on bubble wrap because he's a part of the offensive plan going forward, and that might be the Demetric Felton, Chris Rodriguez invitational. But since me and Lil Rio are going to the Ravens game, I hope we get to see this demon in action, because the preseason, I will be paying attention to these young players, the Dominique Hamptons, the Jordan McGee's, the Jakori Merritts. I won't even say Jalen Lane too much, because I think he's going to be your starting slot receiver. So I'm not looking for too much Jalen Lane in preseason, but JCM, it's going to be a show. My boy Marshall, also group chat gang, he put out a tweet last night and was like, I'm so sick and starving for football. Like, I'm getting juiced up and salivating thinking about ordering a pizza to watch JCM run against pizza delivery drivers and insurance salesmen. That's what it'd be like, man. We are about to watch preseason football in 2 days in the Hall of Fame game. We're about to watch Washington fan legend Taylor Heineke versus Hendon Hooker, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see football being played. As far as more updates on today's practice, overall, the offense was a little clunky, but Deebo Samuels is making chunk plays. Apparently, he made a beautiful diving catch from Jaden Daniels. He made a deep crosser from Sam Hartman. Not sure why Deebo Samuel and Sam Hartman are being paired up in any type of drill, but when I hear the words Deebo Samuels, Tyshawn Raekwon Samuel Sr. making diving catches in July in practice, that's a good sign. That's a very good sign that that boy is locked the fuck in. He's on demon timing, and he got money to deposit in 2025. I love the aspect of him getting so much work as the number one guy while we figure out the Terry situation. And I know, guys, there's no good side to it. Well, I find the silver lining and the positivity and everything, because if you can't, what is life at this point? But Deebo is making a play or two of chunk every play, every practice. He's making his name be known, and he's going to go off this year. Y'all saw my Deebo Samuel video the other day. Easily going for over 1,000 all-purpose, and he's one of our kick returners as well. Him and Austin Eckler, they're going to find any and every way to get that guy out there on the field and making plays with Jaden Daniels and company. I'm excited to get to joint practice next week. It's going to be a change of pace, guys. It's going to be a change of pace. I know we got another 2 practices at the crib in Ashburn next week before they head up. So we got joint practice with the Patriots and a preseason game next week, y'all. Next week. I believe Friday of next week is our first preseason game, right? Yeah, if this Friday is the first, the 8th, August 8th, we got the Patriots on the road. And then August 18th, we got a Monday night preseason game versus the Cincinnati Bengals. That is the game where I think we see a drive or two. It's Monday night football. ESPN going to put they've already been to 2 of our practices. They were there again today. They're going to put the full court press on us and the Bengals to play our starters for a drive or two. Y'all remember the last time we was on preseason Monday Night Football? Josh Harris had that awkward-ass encounter with Joe Buck and them in the booth, and we ended the Ravens preseason streak, and we all thought the vibes were immaculate going into that season, 2-0 and then 4-13. But we are now in the present. We get a little Burrow jaded in the preseason. I'm not going to hold you. I don't need to see Jaden Daniels put on pads in the preseason. I don't need to see Deebo Samuels put on pads in the preseason. I don't need to see Terry. I don't need to see Brian Robinson in the preseason game. Brian Robinson is already on a regular season snap count before that annual decline starts to hit. I don't need him using any of his September magic in August in a preseason game. Put Josh Connerly, young ass, in the game. Brandon Coleman, you can go get a drive or so. Let these young guys go. Also, I don't know why I'm just mentioning this 16 minutes into the video. Nate Herbig retired. You know, the depth piece offensive lineman who could play center, guard, or tackle. You know, the guy we were hoping that phases Michael Dieter off the roster. Shout out to Louis T, because I know he wants no part of Michael Dieter after that Jaden mic'd up, where he was like, Jaden, thanks for making me right. It was just an interesting moment, man, coming from an offensive lineman. Vulnerable, though. Anywho, Nate Herbig retired. Coming off a season where he missed the entire season on the IR. He retired. So Michael Dieter, an interior depth lineman pieces. Maybe when Tim McKay comes back, some more of the undrafted guys. An opportunity has arisen now that Nate Herbig called it quits. Not mad at a guy, 5-year career. Football is a grueling sport, and guys find out very fast that NFL stands for not for long. So I hope he has a good retirement. Someone has an opportunity to be a depth piece now, because they brought that guy in. I don't know why some people were saying he had a chance to start. I wasn't sure that was ever going to be a thing, but that's pretty much my report from practice today. Also, today is RFK Stadium public hearing day at the DC City Hall. They got Pennsylvania Avenue shut down. People are rallying, and they're preparing for this vote coming up on Friday that should be able to finally stamp and make the deal with DC official for Washington's move back to the RFK site. Once that vote goes through, Washington can pick a date to break ground and start building our state-of-the-art Superdome at the site where all the glory and success of the Washington Redskins took place. It's the rightful place for Washington to be. If anything else comes out today, I will be one of the first on the tube bringing you that information. If we get any more news in the Terry McLaurin, Adam Peters saga, I'll be here to talk about it. Let me know what your thoughts on camp is so far. If you made it out to training camp, let me know what you saw in the comments. Let me know what your observations were in person. I will say, training camp, they have it set up pretty nicely, but it just feels so nasty being out there with the heat and the humidity and the stuff. And they need a new team facility. You can dress it up. You can put a filter and lipstick and a whole little designer fit on a pig. At some point, it's still a pig. We need new team facilities locked in as soon as we finish this stadium deal situation, because they need a bigger, better, nicer team headquarters to accommodate fans. Because while I enjoyed myself at camp because I love ball, I love this team, and I love being around our fellow fan base, but they got the bleachers in the forest. Like, we just sitting in the trees, even though the sun is peeking right through them things. Like, it's just weirdly located. Like, when practice is happening on the far side of the field, you need binoculars to see what the hell is going on. And I think that's kind of by design too, because they don't want fans recording at practice. The league is really pushing not allowing fans to record 7-on-7s and 11-on-11. Don't let them see my vlogs from years past because I used to give y'all every rep. Salute to y'all. But I seen somebody at Bears camp yesterday record a trick play where they ran like a running back toss, reverse, back to Caleb pass, who then threw it at the end. And I was like, yep, Ben Johnson back on his bullshit. He back on that bullshit that got him sent right the fuck home in the divisional round of the playoffs last year. But Day 6 is in the books, y'all. There will be no practice tomorrow. I'll probably have Blake Lewis on the channel, and he'll be talking to me about what it looked like in pads and all of his observations from camp and what sleeper players have been standing out for the good guys so far. That's all I got for right now. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. Commander Rio is